Hey guys, I'm Erwin from The Optimizer, and in the following video I want to try to explain what ad fatigue is, how to detect it and get a notification on Slack or Telegram, and what to do to recover from it. Now imagine hearing the same song on the radio every hour. The first few times you hum along. After a few hours you start tuning it out a bit and eventually you change the station. That's exactly what happens to your ads and what Meta calls ad fatigue. When users stop interacting, the ad looks less interesting in the auction. And so to keep it on screen, Meta raises the price. As a consequence, your cost per result climbs, overall performance falls. So what to do? The first step is to detect the fatigued ads as soon as possible and limit the budget wasting. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in just a few moments. The second step is to replace them with fresh creatives, images or videos, and copy and possibly a wider audience. So now let me show you how easy it is to create an automatic rule on the optimizer that will monitor your ads 24/7 and send you a notification on email, Slack or Telegram when a fatigued ad is detected. Right, so here we are inside the optimizer, and for this case we're going to use a pause ad rule from the list of Facebook rules, which actually is not going to pause the ad. You can do that obviously if needed, like the same rule that we're going to use for notification purposes can also pause the ad, detected fatigued ad automatically if necessary. But for this illustration purposes, we're only going to create a rule that sends a notification. So to get started, from the automation menu on the left, we go under rules, and from the list, if we search for Facebook, we filter all the Facebook available rules and we choose the pause ads rule type. Now, how this rule is going to work. Basically, we're going to look at the performance of the last 3 days, and we're going to make sure that the ad has enough impressions and clicks to be taken into consideration. We're not going to deal with ads that have like 50 impressions or something like that. And second, we're going to check how the frequency is doing, and then we're going to check how the CTR of the ad is during the last 3 days and how the CPA of the ad is doing in the last 3 days. Usually a fatigued ad, the signs of the fatigued ad are an increased frequency, usually above 2, decrease of the CTR from day to day, and an increase in the CPA from day to day. So that's what this rule is going to check, and if all these conditions match, you're going to get a notification on Slack or email or Telegram, and then you can decide what's the best thing to do with that ad. Let's give this rule a name. Let's call it automatic fatigue detection. As a data interval, as I mentioned, we're going to look at the last 3 days of data, and the first condition will be impressions. We want to make sure that we only take into consideration ads that have had enough impressions, and for this case I'm going to put 2,000 impressions here. The next condition will be clicks. So we also want to make sure that the ads that we're going to consider have at least a minimum of 50 clicks in the last 3 days. The next thing, as I mentioned, is frequency, and we want to make sure that the frequency is greater than 2 in the last 3 days. And now we're going to check day by day how the CTR and the CPA has been performing. So we're going to compare the CTR of day 3 compared with the day before, of day 2 compared with the day 3, and day 1 compared with day 2. And if during all these days the CTR have been showing a decline, then that's a sign of fatigue. The same thing with CPA, but for the CPA we're going to do the opposite. We're going to check if the CPA has been increasing on a day-by-day basis. So let's do CTR and okay, I'm going to do CTR of day 3 is less than 100% of CTR day 4. And I'll explain a bit what this means, because it might sound a bit complicated, but it is not. So what we're doing here is we're saying if the CTR at day 3 is less than CTR of the day before, of 4 days ago, and to express the fact that it is less, we say less than 100% of the day 4 CTR. So this is what we're doing here. So CTR day 3 is less than 100% of CTR day 4, which means less than CTR of day 4, basically. We clone this condition 3 times, and the second one will be comparing day 2 to day 3, and the last one will be comparing day 1 to day 2. And the last step is to check how the CPA has been doing. And obviously you can use or not use the CPA depending on the fact if are you tracking results or not on your Facebook campaigns. CPA is based on the results track. If you are not tracking results, you can also simply use the CTR, but it's usually not enough, because you can have ads that CTR is declining, but the CPA is still showing good results. So it's not yet time to kill that ad. So it's always good to have a CPA metric for your ads. So we're going to do the same CPA of day 3 is greater in this case than 100% of CPA at day 4 or 4 days ago, and then we're going to clone it again 3 times, and here do CPA 2 compared to 3 days ago, and CPA 4 from 1 day ago, which is yesterday, basically, compared to the day before yesterday. Okay, so we're done with all the conditions. Again, to recap, here we are checking that each ad has enough impressions and clicks to be considered. Then we're checking that the frequency has been increasing in the last 3 days. Frequency here is been evaluated using the default data interval, so last 3 days. And then we're checking if the trend of the CTR and the CPA is going down in the last 3 days. The next step is to select which campaigns you want to use for this monitoring and alerting. If you want to use this rule for all your campaigns inside an ad account, in that case you need to use a global rule. If you go back on our rules view, you can create a rule that we have 2 kinds of rules. We have the standard rule and the global rule. And the difference between the standard rule and the global rule is that, as you saw before, with the standard rule, you need to select specifically to which campaigns you want to apply this rule to, while with the global rule, you can select ad accounts. So a global rule applies to everything inside an ad account. So once you have tested the rule with specific campaigns and you are happy with it, you can decide that, okay, I want this rule now to run always on everything and alert me about ad fatigue. In this case, you can switch to a global rule and select ad accounts instead of specific campaigns. But let's go back to our rule and complete it. So we have selected the campaigns. We can execute this rule every 3 hours. I think it's reasonable. Every 3 hours the rule will run and check these conditions, and if it finds any ad that fulfills those conditions, will send us an alert. Now here, as I mentioned at the beginning, the default action is to execute an alert, which means this rule will send you an alert but also pause the ad, because it's a pause ad rule. But we don't want this at the moment. Obviously, you can keep it if you are confident enough that you want to pause these ads. But For this illustration purpose, we're going to switch to alert only, which what we'll do is simply send you an alert on one of the configured channels here. Make sure to set up your Slack or Telegram or email notification channels so that you get notified. So that's it. Using this rule, you make sure to get a very accurate, I would say, notification on ads that are showing some signs of fatigue. And then you can double check that manually and decide if it's time to pause that ad and replace it with new creatives, new copies, etc., and limit the downfall and the budget waste that otherwise was going to happen in the next days. Thank you for watching, and see you in my other videos.